So, um, so Paul, I know in the last couple of weeks, both of us, we've been cooking a lot of Mexican, in anticipation to this and anticipation to a lot of things that, we want to do. But you've been cooking more than I have. That's obvious by the amount of recipes that you have been putting out. But my first question to you is, what appeals you so much about Mexican? Because you are a Pommy. Sorry if I offended you, but you live in Australia, and what gets you to Mexican? Like, what drives you to cook Mexican?
I think, firstly, I'm a cook. I'm a humble cook, and be fortunate to do something I enjoy. And when you love something so much, you just want to keep learning and keep discovering. And Mexican food has so many new techniques and new ingredients and new flavors. And once you've been to Mexico, and I was lucky, my first chef was Spanish, so he was a dear friend of the family. So we're very engrossed in Latin lifestyle and their culture, and that made me want to see sort of the whole of Latin America, and in particularly Mexico. And once you've been to Mexico City and you see the excitement of the architecture, the old and new, and the population and the variety of food and the passion around food, you really feel like you're missing out. So I felt compelled to dive into it, really. And Australians love authentic food and love food, and it suited my career at the time. I was a food director of a large hospitality group, and felt compelled to sort of expose Mexican food to Australians. So,
And that's
being a cook, I suppose, just being a cook, to answer your question. And there's so many different techniques too, right? I mean, the techniques in Mexican food is completely different to, say, Italian or French style of cookery. It's probably more like Indian in some regard, or more like some of that Thai or Southeast Asian culture, where they use wood and fire to bring out flavor in food. And a lot of the ingredients for a salsa are typically roasted over fire, and you get that lovely, you almost have to burn everything, which is quite unusual. When you're taught as a French trained chef, it's the opposite. It's all about that perfect caramelization and that degree of perfection you're searching for. With Mexican, it's a bit more it's more abandonment. It's more, let's get the best out of the flavor by roast it to the inch of its life, and that as a chef is very exciting, and cooking with natural fire is very, very on trend. But I think we all have the caveman in us, don't we?
Yeah, and you just said, I think you summarized something about Mexican that I love too, which is the charring. Charring things, charring the salsas, charring your tomatoes. But I think there is a lot of wisdom. There's a lot of wisdom from the indigenous Mexicans to that, because when you char, a tomato or a chili, you release all the natural oils from those seeds that are inside, and it just changes the flavor altogether. It makes things so much better.
I use the word caveman, but it's actually a very intellectual way of cooking, and this is what I suppose when I first discovered it, I thought, this is so intelligent. So many. There's a lot of ingredients in a mole, of course, but essentially, when you make a simple salsa, it's just 3 or 4 ingredients, but the power and the flavor, is because of the way it's cooked, is extraordinary, and you get the maximum flavor out of an ingredient. I think chefs love that, and the spices, and there's history too. If you're a chef, you love history. I think you love traveling, and the history around Mexican food. I mean, we're so thankful for the Aztecs. I mean, without the Aztecs, well, we wouldn't have tomatoes. The Italians would be scratching their head. It's